What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You have tuned in to the flyest sports and entertainment podcast in all the land. This is Stat Lines Matter. I am your host, Mark Stewart. And as normal and usual, I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. Rob Hunter. And we actually have a surprise for you today. We are here virtually, first and foremost. This is our first virtual show. And we have a special guest. I would like to introduce an old friend of mine and super sports fan, Mr. Tabiso Nkhereanye. Let me be clear, that's going to be the last time I say his whole name. He's professionally known as Tab. He's an executive in the music industry, like me, but he's also a super fan like me in Rob. So it's perfect that we have him here, and I would like to welcome Tab onto our show for his first of many occasional appearances on Stat Lines Matter. Welcome, Tab.
What up from the West Coast?
Representing Los Angeles, where you live, and representing the Bay, where you're from, correct?
Yay, area. Oh.
Yeah, I know, represent Frisco. Now, to make the connection, we all know each other and have worked together. So Rob and Tab have known each other, I would say loosely, since about, Rob, like 1995, right?
97.
97?
Yep.
And me and Tab longer than that. I ain't even gonna say how long because then we'll be dating ourselves.
I didn't want you to say that.
No, we've all three of us have done a lot of things together over the years, but what we have become is really good sports friends. So as we did our first show that was going live, I wanted to bring Tab on, who is an amazing sports fan, and also he's been putting mad pressure on me, be like, you gotta put me on SLM, you gotta put me on. So I wanted to have him on because he has so many things to share. Before we get into, I want to talk about his team, but before we get into that, I want to just I want to officially eulogize my Chicago Bears. I just want to say that they've done well, they've had a great life, and it's over. Last night, it ended. It's over. I've lost.
Y'all still hear me?
Faith. Yeah, you do. I've lost faith. I've lost hope. I've lost it all. I don't even know if I believe in Justin anymore. I don't know how I feel.
I mean, when a man step in and beat you on 9 toes for the sixth straight time, it's interesting because, given the fact that it's your rival, but I wouldn't declare y'all dead yet, just because you don't know. Justin is taking his lumps right now, and you just got to give that some time to see what it's going to be. That's the only, and Aaron is on his way out. It ain't like he's going to play for another 10 years.
Yeah, but this has so little to do with Aaron and Green Bay as much as it has to do for me with I just lost hope, man. I don't even have any faith in the McCaskey family to hire the next GM and the next head coach. It's really bad. So I just wanted to get that out the way. I wanted to say I'm sad. I feel like somebody's died. I have to get a new team. I already have a second team, Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm gonna get a second. I'm gonna get a third team and just like I'm gonna mourn them. So I'd like to I don't even want to talk about them. They're sad. But okay, so Tab, I just had to get that out the way.
Yes,
Tab, you had a hell of a game yesterday. Your San Francisco 49ers had an amazing game that I thought you had in control, and then all of a sudden they roared back. But give me your take on what you saw yesterday, and then how you feel about your chances going forward.
Yesterday's game was incredible. Look, everybody knows, or I shouldn't say everybody, but you guys definitely know how I feel about Jimmy G, a.k.a. The Bachelor, a.k.a. porn star Jimmy. But he's done an amazing job, like, honestly, in control. You know what's funny? Jimmy plays well when his back is against the wall, except for the Super Bowl. But other than that, lately, if you've noticed, Jimmy on his last few drives, game-winning drives, he's stepped up. He's put us in really good positions to win games. I still want him gone. And I believe that this is Jimmy's last year.
That was one of the things I want to ask you. You want him gone?
100%. Look, I haven't gotten over the overthrow. I was sitting there inside the stadium there in Miami, Hard Rock, and I watched him clearly overthrow Emmanuel Sanders. I watched him have the lowest QBR in fourth quarter Super Bowl history. I spent $10,000 to watch that. I'll never forgive him for that. That's why I want him gone. And you and I have had many debates about that. And look, he's performing well under the pressure, with Justin over his shoulder. But we're only going to go so far with Jimmy as our quarterback. Let's just be honest with you. But like I said, I'll take our Sundays. I'll take wins on Sundays anytime you give them. But we're not the class of the NFC West. Obviously in my, how it goes. It's Arizona, it's Los Angeles, and then we fall in there somewhere.
Rob, what's your take on Jimmy? Because I don't know if you've never really been part of me and Tab's conversations about Jimmy Garoppolo, because we've gone back and forth, and I don't necessarily say I disagree with Tab, but what's your take as somebody who's not like day-to-day involved with what Jimmy's doing? How do you see it as an outside football fan?
I mean,
with no interest in it.
Well, for me, you look at particularly yesterday. They were up by 2 touchdowns, 20-6, and then he comes in on the road in one of the more difficult places to play on the road. Cincinnati, everybody knows, a road game in Cincinnati is a tough place to play. They started the overtime after they got the ball down by 3. It was 5 straight completions, and of course, the pass to Kittle, and then ultimately the game-winning pass to Brandon Ayuk for the touchdown. I think that 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So you got 17 touchdowns on the year, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 3,000 yards passing. There are better quarterbacks playing in the league right now. We know their names, but how much better? I mean, how much better is better? What exactly are you looking for? Now, I know given the history of San Francisco, right, with Steve Young and Joe Montana, he's used to a certain level of expertise and top-notch quarterback play. But I think, just from what I saw yesterday, I think there's reason for optimism. And then they're overcoming 3 straight losses to start the season, weeks 3 through 5. So, I mean, if anything, it shows the ability to bounce back is what you have to have in this league. And they lost that lead yesterday. And obviously, you get a big road win, and they put themselves in the 6th spot in the NFC playoff picture. So, just from the outside looking in, of course, a fan is going to have always a different perspective. You and I always go back and forth on, the Lovie Smith and the Bartman, and, because I don't have a dog in those fights, and you're a fan, so you see it one way, I see it another way. I saw the Hail Mary play one way because I'm a fan. And of course, it wasn't that, but that's what it felt like at the time. So I'm not sitting up here saying that what I'm saying is right. And Tab, he's a little, I think he's a prisoner of the moment or trying to abandon ship a little early. I'm just simply saying that looking at what happened yesterday, there's reason for optimism, particularly, like I said, with 3 straight losses, weeks 3 through 5. Sometimes it's hard to overcome a skid like that, particularly early in the season. So, for me, I think Jimmy's earned the right to for some vote of confidence.
Yeah, I think they have I think it's going to be an interesting dilemma for them if they make the playoffs and grab even a game in the playoffs, because one of the stats that when I was getting ready for the show, Jimmy is tied for second in the league with Joe Burrow at 8.4 yards per attempt.
Oh, per completion, yeah. Yeah, tied for second. Yeah.
Per attempt. Per completion, which is really, really good. No, it's per attempt.
That's right. He's pushing the ball downfield, though. That's what you're saying.
He's pushing the ball downfield, and sort of dispels the sort of notion that he's like a dink and dunk manager. Like, I mean, he's only second. He's second to Kyler Murray. Like, in terms of deep,
let me ask you a question,
action
Mark.
down the field.
Does that particular stat encompass yak, or is that the actual air yards?
No, that's not the air yards. That is yak. That's just wherever the receiver. And I know there's y'all run a lot of those little flip passes to Debo.
So that's Debo. So that's what you're saying is
Debo. It's a lot Debo.
It can't be all. It can't be all Debo. It can't be all. It's some Kittle in there.
Okay, I got you. I want an air yard stat.
And you know what? I'll get the air yard stat for you because it is available. Tab, what I'll ask you before we move on is how do you balance his play if he gets you to the playoffs and then bringing along a quarterback that you gave up a lot to get? You gave up a lot to get Trey Lance. We obviously haven't seen enough of him to even determine what he can do or can't do. And you seeing what Jimmy's doing when healthy, and your record with him when healthy is legit. How do you, as a 49er fan, manage that in your head, thinking about next year?
This is going to sound extreme, but maybe it's Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. But I'm assuming that once Trey Area takes the field after sitting for a year, he's going to look a lot better than what Jordan Love has. And if Jimmy's under contract, maybe it's his trade bait because we gave up a lot to get Trey. So I'd like Jimmy to play well. Like I want Jimmy to be sexy because we still have Jimmy under contract. Maybe that's trade bait to a team that needs a quarterback like Jimmy. So to answer your question, the train has moved on for me. The future is Trey. The sexier Jimmy is, the better it is. It's Jimmy's real estate. Like I want the value to go up. I want Jimmy to play well. I want to be able to fleece a team out of the first round pick.
No, I don't know if you're gonna get that, but I get the point. I get your idea.
Whatever it is. You look, depends on how desperate somebody is.
Go ahead.
By the way, look, every Sunday we get under center. Look, we want to win. I would love to be in SoFi Stadium February 13th with Jimmy as my quarterback. You know what I'm saying? That'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, the era for me and Jimmy Garoppolo is over with. Even if he hoists the Lombardi, I'm done with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know that sounds crazy to y'all.
Wow.
What's the goal?
That's gangster.
He can't do nothing.
What'd you say? Sorry?
He can't do anything. I mean, he can win the Super Bowl and you still like, so what's the goal? If it's not to win the Super Bowl, what's the goal?
The goal is to win the Super Bowl and have Trey Lance under center next year.
So
and you trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a high pick. Because
you want Jimmy to get you want Jimmy. Go ahead.
Jimmy's a system quarterback. Jimmy is very system quarterback. Jimmy is swing the ball to Brandon Ayuk and pray that Brandon Ayuk takes that ball 15 yards down the field. Jimmy Garoppolo is not. Jimmy Garoppolo puts no fear in any defense. Tyronn Lue said it in the Super Bowl. He was like, when they stopped running the ball and let Jimmy throw the ball, we knew we had the game won. And he's right. Jimmy does not put any fear into anybody. Look, man, if we get that far, it's based off of play calling. And if you go back to the NFC Championship game in 2019, when we went to the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo had 7 attempts, and we beat Green Bay by 30 points. We ran the ball, we play action, swing passes. Jimmy had 7 attempts on our way to the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a quarterback who is going to put fear into anybody. It's system, and we have to play great defense, and Kyle has to be conservative. The reason why that game was close is because we had to be conservative because Jimmy does not allow you to put anybody away. Jimmy doesn't have that thing. I'm telling y'all, like that's why, like, if like I said, if we get there, it'd be great. But I've moved on.
I know one person that really likes him. The tight end, Kittle. He loves himself. 13 catches, 150 yards, touchdown. That's the second consecutive game that he's done that. And the last tight end to do that was a dude named Shannon Sharp, coached by another Shanahan.
Listen, I'll say this.
With the threat of the run as well.
I'll say this, Tab. Tab, you and I have had this conversation. You've actually got me to come over to your side a little bit on this. But the one thing I always say is the column that matters the most is always the wins and losses. And I think that he has a record that shows that you guys win when he's under center. And despite what you want to do, I still think that Shanahan and Lynch have a real dilemma, not just because you have a quarterback on the bench, but because of what you said earlier. You gave up a lot to get that quarterback. So at what point, it's not like in the Jordan Love case where they sat back, they just spent that one pick. You guys spent real draft capital to move up to get that guy. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But I understand how you feel. I had a quarterback that I needed to get rid of too, in Mitch Trubisky. So I'm never going to fault the man for wanting to get somebody out of his city. I want to also actually have a quick discussion about. I was watching all the games yesterday, as y'all know that I do. But the Dallas game was interesting to me because you had Pollard out, you have a banged up Ezekiel Elliott, and then the game sort of went on, at least we thought, on Dak Prescott's shoulders, who didn't play particularly well yesterday, and it was the defense that ended up carrying them to victory. I actually think a Dallas team that's creating turnovers and playing good on defense, I think is dangerous, because I think ultimately Dak and that offense will get it going as we get down towards the end of the season. What do you guys think of Dallas's chances? They're leading their division. I think they kind of put enough space between them and everybody else yesterday. What do you think their long-term chances are?
I think it's all on Kellen Moore to me. I think, look, the defense is incredible. Dan Quinn is out here, got these boys playing incredible. Like, obviously, Micah Parsons looking like a young LT out there, just taking over games at the line of scrimmage, dropping back in coverage, just really being a ball hawk. I mean, he's really looking like a man amongst boys out there. To me, we saw a tale of two Daks, right? If you remember the beginning of the season, the Cowboys' offense was looking unstoppable. You know, between CD, between Amari Cooper, and I think post calf injury, something's happened between that and just the conservative play calling. It started to look like the Jason Garrett play calling a little bit, which is keeping teams in the game. I don't see enough explosiveness from the offense. Obviously, they were missing Pollard yesterday, so I'm sure that didn't help. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the only question mark for me regarding the Dallas Cowboys is Kellen Moore and the play calling for me.
Rob, what do you think?
As long as look, Dak is still fifth in the NFL in yards per game, 281 passing yards per game. I think also, some of that conservative play calling has come with injuries, particularly to the receivers. When they played the Chiefs, they only scored 9 points, but they had Amari Cooper out. They also had CeeDee Lamb out. So I think the story of the Cowboys, I think the offense is going to be fine. I think Dak, at least for me, has proven himself to be, a top 5 quarterback, a guy that can, obviously push the ball downfield, make plays with his legs. But I think the story right now, the difference between, the Cowboys of this year and the Cowboys of last year is what Tab said earlier, which is the defense and Dan Quinn. This year they have, let's see here. This year, okay, so between this point last year, with 13 games, they had given up 400 points by this time. 400 points. This time, wow. They've given up 287 points. So obviously, that's a 113-point difference. They only had 5 picks at this point last year. They got 21 now, and they got 31 sacks versus 24 last year. So if you want to, sometimes things are a little bit more nuanced. This year, I think that the difference is obviously it's Dan Quinn. And also last year was the first time that they actually had their starting defensive personnel all healthy. So Randy Gregory, I mean, there's Micah Parsons, right, and there's Trey Diggs, right, or Stephon Diggs, sorry. So that obviously he leads the league in interceptions. Micah Parsons is 3 sacks away from breaking the rookie record, which was held by Javon Kearse, which ironically his nephew plays safety for the Cowboys as well. This little fun fact there. So, but I mean, the defense is playing lights out, and I think that for me, I think anytime you have a defense playing that good, you have a chance to go the whole way. And I know that there hasn't been the normal hype talk about the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl, and I think this is a year that prospect, at least with this defense playing the way it is actually realistic. I mean, when you get Dak playing the way he played, and they still managed to pull off a road win against a division rival. I mean, that speaks for itself. So yeah, I think I'm as high on the Cowboys, given somebody that really doesn't like the Cowboys at all. I'm as high on the Cowboys as I've been in a while.
Yeah, I would say that I say the same, and almost for the exact same reasons. It's the defense, and they got good young players. It's a reason why they stuck with Randy Gregory through
Everything.
Like I mean, I don't even know how many drug suspensions and whatever. I get him and Josh Gordon. They got about a dozen between them, I think. But they stick with him because he can get to the quarterback. You know what I mean? So, like, I give him a real shot, but I am concerned if Pollard's not there because I don't think we are seeing the best of Zeke. And I don't know, in the climate with running backs, I don't know how you get that back. It's always a little bit of a danger paying running back superstar money and then they get nicked up a little bit. We've seen it again and again. You've seen it with, going back to Marco Murray. You've seen it with Todd Gurley. You've seen it with a couple of these other guys, and they get this check. And it's not like it's not like they don't want to play. It's just that it's a lot of contact, man. And it's a lot of pain on the body, a lot of damage to the body. And, it's diminishing returns. So let me ask you guys this. Are we buying or selling the Buffalo Bills right now? Because I think there was a lot of hype coming in. The Josh Allen hype train was in full effect. And now I believe they're sitting at 7-6. And I think it's the Patriots' division to lose at a time when this is supposed to be Patriots rebuilding. What are you guys thinking of Buffalo? And what do you think about that game? Now, they did roar back in the game, and I think took it to overtime, and then Tampa pulled it out with the pass to Bashard Perryman. But I think that Tampa Bay had the game in control in the first half, and then they just kind of, I think, took their foot off the gas. Are you guys buying or selling Buffalo right now?
I'm selling because of what you said initially. It's Belichick's division. As long as Belichick is up there in Foxborough, for me, it's always going to be the Patriots division. Obviously, we've seen massive improvement from the Josh Allen that first entered the league. And I think the Buffalo Bills are doing some great things. But it's funny that Monday night loss, that was a backbreaker for me. And I think that was a backbreaker for that team. I think that there's
talking about
losses,
was it Tennessee?
Sorry,
was that the Tennessee game?
I'm sorry. I'm thinking the Monday
Which loss
night
you
game.
talking
The
about?
Monday night game against the Patriots. I just believe that.
Against the Patriots. Oh, okay. Yeah, this past week.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That game, that Monday night game, to me was a pivotal game for them in terms of the energy and how the season was going to go. For me, when they lost that game, I just think that at that point it's like the season is over. Belichick is your daddy. It's just one of those things that is just not. It's not going to happen. And as much as they wanted to win the game, as long as Hoodie's up there in Foxborough, I'm selling. I'm not buying. It's Belichick. It's his division, man. To me.
Yeah, I agree with Tab. And more so, not necessarily. That loss was obviously a division loss. It's a tough loss to have. But to me, it was the loss against the Jaguars. 9-6, where you had Trevor Lawrence only throw for, I believe, 115 yards, no touchdowns. Like good teams, not great teams. Good teams don't have that loss on their resume. And then obviously they followed that up, I believe, 2 weeks later with the loss that you were talking about, Tab, the loss to the Patriots. And it's just, okay, I'm selling them now. I'm buying them for the long haul. Josh Allen, he still threw 300 yards and rushed 400 yesterday. And to come back in the second half the way that they did, shows a testament of fortitude. I just think that, and they did have the number one defense. I don't know after what time they told, I don't know if they're number one anymore, but that's a real number. Like the number one defense in the league, particularly at this point in the season, is in week 12 or 13. That's real. And I think that Josh Allen, what he's been able to do under center I'm just selling them for this season. I do think ultimately they will supplant. Well, that's being a bit audacious. I think they will contend with Belichick for years to come. They only lost by 4 points. when they played them on Monday night. So, but for this season, it's a definite sell, and it has more to do with just how they've looked against the bad teams, particularly. That Jaguars loss was just something that when they put up 6 points in that game, in my mind they got a ways to go.
And I think 2 points that I'll underscore is I think you need to look like a number one defense against good offenses. Yeah. Like I think when you're in a division with the Jets and Miami when they didn't have Tua, and they're not, I wouldn't call, Miami the 84 Dolphins even when Tua's there, but they're better. It's easy to inflate your numbers a little bit defensively and your defensive metrics. They haven't looked that great against good offenses. And I think the second thing is, I don't know where you're really going in Buffalo with the inability to run the football. They don't run it. I don't know if they can't or they won't. And I know, just side note, Brian DeBole, I think that's how you say his name. He's a hot name for a lot of the head coaching jobs and particularly around Chicago. But I can tell you, man, I don't want to throw the ball 50 times. And I definitely don't want my quarterback running for 100 yards if he doesn't have to. Turn around every now and then and give the ball to a running back and see how that goes. They don't seem to like to run the ball from what I can tell. I don't have any stat to.
Yeah. I got them.
With the optics of it, looks like they drop back to throw every time.
Yeah, they had no rushing attempts by a running back in the first half. They had 4 rushing attempts, all by Josh Allen in the first half. The first time they gave the ball to a running back was on the fake punt in the third quarter. And the first rush that a running back had was by Singletary, and it went for 29 yards. So, yeah, that's a coaching error. That's a schematic error.
How do you get in the film study, in the film room, and justify that, even just to the offense, to your running backs, even to the quarterback, because you're exposing the quarterback to harm. I mean, in reality, Josh Allen is, I call him the real Cam Newton, right? He's the dream scenario for Cam Newton to be able to deliver the football on the run, in the pocket, and run. But the one thing, it's a cautionary tale for Josh, is look what the hits mounting up have done to Cam. He gonna have to chill with a lot of the going airborne. He's young, he's strong. That changes really quick in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he finished the game yesterday apparently in a walking boot. So look.
Yeah, no, seriously, man. And you saw it with Lamar. I know Lamar got hurt on a drop back, but again, a lot of times it's death by 1,000 cuts with some of these injuries. They just mount up. You coming out there, you're not 100%. These guys, when they can get a shot at a quarterback, they take it because when they're in the pocket, they're protected. And I think, whether you're Justin Fields or these guys, they protect you in the pocket, man. The NFL will do what they got to do if you get the ball out your hand. And that's why Tom played to 43 and why Breeze played as long as he did, is that they use the rules to their benefit. And I think that Josh and this young crew of quarterbacks need to think about that. Speaking about quarterbacks that have taken a beating, this is one of the to have in common, the Steelers. It's been interesting watching Ben Roethlisberger because it looks like a great racehorse or something like that doesn't have any more wins in him. But then every now and then, like even last game, the stats were still good, but they were sort of like comeback stats after getting down. And I know you've complained about the offense. Is it more the play calling? Do you think Ben has anything left, or is it time for my man to go on in?
Look, man, I want to be careful with my words here because number 7 is like a family member to me. I love Ben, respect Ben, everything he's brought to Pittsburgh, to Heinz Field, to the 2 Super Bowl appearances.
Wins.
Sorry, yes. I wanted to blame Matt Canada because I think the play calling is atrocious. It's like it's pop league, it's junior, it's junior football, JV football, call it what you want. But at the same time, the game is passing Ben by. Ben is Ben is uh Ben is Ben is like he's a CD in a streaming world. it's it, it's time.
Wow.
His time has come and gone. You know, we stream our music now, and Ben is that. Unfortunately, I love Ben, and I want Ben to step away. Marquise Pouncey did it graciously the previous year. I think that Cleveland game was just, as a Steelers fan, that playoff game against Cleveland. That's probably like the equivalent of when you guys are fathers, and at some point your son is going to be able to beat you in a game of basketball, or he's going to be stronger than you at some point. That's what it felt like when we lost to Cleveland in the playoff game. It's like my son can finally beat me up, and I am not ready to acknowledge it. And it was just one of those moments for me, and it was just hard for me to watch. And we haven't recovered from that. And look, we are not the class of the AFC North anymore. Mike T's post-game speeches are starting to wear a little thin on me, you know, and I love Mike T. I'm tired of Mike T and his zone coverage. He don't mix it up. This right here is a very deep conversation for me. But Ben, I love you graciously. He deserves to go out in class and go out in style. But I don't want to see you under center next year. And that's it.
Are you conceding? Are you conceding this season? Because the team is they're still in the playoff hunt? Ironically, yeah, I mean it's going to be hard, but if you can get to 10-6-1, yeah, if you run off 4 straight,
Mike T's not going to give you a losing season. You're in the conference. Whatever I guarantee you, Mike T is going to finish. If he's going to finish 500 or above, this streak is going to continue to happen. But we're not going to beat. We're not the class of the AFC. We all know this. There's 7 teams that are better than us right now. Look, it would be a great story for Ben to go out and get a playoff win. But at the end of the day that I guess whatever week 17 is and whoever our last game of the season is, and we don't make the playoffs or we lose, I'm going to wave my terrible towel. I'm going to shed a tear. But at the end of the day, that's it. I was just in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago to go ahead and watch the game, the Monday night game. And, he's revered in that town, man.
The Bears should have won.
City. And I love Ben, and we respect Ben for everything he's done. But the game, again, Ben is a CD. Ben is a compact disc. It's time for Ben to go, bro.
I was a little concerned, and I thought about this. I called you the other day, and we never got the chance to talk about it, but I have this really terrible feeling that when Ben hangs it up and we're trying to figure out a transition quarterback, I had a terrible dream and thought that Mitch Trubisky could end up in Pittsburgh as a bridge quarterback. And that just almost made me throw up. I'm going to be honest with you. I almost threw up.
It'll be Jimmy. How about it being Jimmy Garoppolo? That would be hilarious.
I mean, I actually think that would be better than like Mitch. Yeah. No, Jimmy's from Illinois, isn't he? Oh no, he went to Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, he went to Eastern.
No, Jimmy's from Illinois.
Oh, is he? Okay. Well, it's all the same area to me. For those of us that live on the coast, it's all the same area.
It's a flyover state for you.
Listen, man.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. You look, man. At the end of the day, I love Ben, but I'll let you guys get to it. But Ben is that horse that needs to go out to pasture, and whatever happens. And just let him ride out and run the bluegrasses of Kentucky and just let him go, man. That's it.
Well, the Steelers are still in it, and ironically and interesting, and one of the reasons that I put this on the list to talk about today is the Falcons. I live here in Atlanta. I have a setup where I have 7 games, and if there's 8, there's one that I can't put on that day, and that's more times than not it's the Falcons. The Falcons end up in one of those games or one of the ones on the outside. But one of the things you notice is that the Falcons, because I don't have any Falcons in my fantasy, and no, it's just not my team, but it's Rob's team, and in the midst of everything that's going on, they are a 6-7 football team, still in the right in the mix to get in the playoffs. And how are they doing this, Rob? Like what's happening? How are they getting wins? Like, what's the secret sauce, and can it turn into anything?
I don't know. I don't have the Falcons on just like you. No, I watched the game. I did watch the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't watch, but I think it's just been a combination of some. I'm not going to say luck, but I think they beat the Panthers twice, which that's 2 wins right there. And they've been able to find something with Cordell Patterson, which I believe obviously has galvanized the offense a great deal. They found a running game with he came into the league as a special teams guy, receiver guy, who came in and he's able to. They found, like you called and told me. You said the Falcons have finally found a way to use Cordell Patterson. So I mean, given
like 7 other teams didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, just given and just I mean, it's you get to this point in the season, and Matt Ryan, for whatever people want to say, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback who's still playing at a pretty decent clip. And whenever you got a guy that can make throws, get you in and out of the right play, who's still playing at a decent level, you're always going to be in games. And I think that he's shown that, even with Calvin Ridley taking his mental break, and I do that. Take care of yourself. If you got something wrong with your head, you got to get that fixed. But but it's been like, so you asked the question, like, how are they able to do it? I don't know. I really don't. I have the games on from time to time, but when I'm sitting, I'm like, why are they still in this game? And
why are they up? Right.
Yeah.
Now give them some credit, man. Give them some credit, because it's hard to win games in the National Football League, as we all know. And listen, it's just one of those things where when you have a team and they're just scratching along, and then you get to December, you never know what can happen when you get in December, you get into January, and I don't know, man. Like, I wish my team was 6-7. I guess that's effectively what I'm saying. Tab, you alluded earlier to the division being really about the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. And that just so happens to be the matchup tonight for Monday night. What's your take on how this is going to play out? Because I think Arizona's had I don't think this is a fact. Arizona's had like the best record in the league for most of the season, has been able to manage that through injuries to Hopkins and to Kyler Murray and still get games. And tonight, I think is a chance for them to really take control of the division and take control of, having that one bye week. What's your take as a person who watches these teams a lot, probably a lot more than people here back east?
Look, man, the Cardinals are the best team in football that nobody is talking about for some reason. As much as we all hate to say it, like, shout out to Cliff Kingsbury. Whatever he's got going on, I know I was one of the people that was skeptical about him coming there to the NFL with the air raid and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, look, man, it's funny because we talked about teams not running the ball. They do run the ball. And as a matter of fact, they run the ball with a former Steeler, and James Conner, who has found a second home and who is adding real depth and balance to that backfield. And then on the flip side, it's like defense is playing well for them. To me, this is Arizona's. This is their year. This is Kyler Murray's chance to go ahead and shine on a national stage tonight, specifically. Take hold of this division. Let everybody know that they're for real. It's a home game, and it's I guess it's good to be a Phoenix fan in terms of basketball and football, but it's like, to me, this is a big night for them. And it's one of those things where I really believe that they are the class of the NFC West, if not overall the class of the NFC, arguably with Tampa Bay, but we'll see. But to me, I really think the Arizona Cardinals are the story of the year. And again, kudos to Cliff Kingsbury, what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're really doing it. It's funny that because I was just reading an article recently about Isaiah Parsons. People were, I think he was supposed to be Isaiah, the guy they got.
Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. He was supposed to be Micah Parsons. Everybody thought that he was going to be the guy who Micah Parsons turned out to be. But he sort of kind of is fallen in there somewhere, and kind of hasn't turned out to be that way. But honestly, other than that, Cardinals, man, they are the real deal. Real deal.
You gave me a stat.
Go ahead.
Just real quick here, Rob. I'll throw it back to you. You gave me a stat tab that I actually used in our first podcast about Matt Stafford. 9-71. I don't know where you sourced it, but 9-71 in games against winning teams.
Yes.
No playoff wins, I believe. Is that the real Matt Stafford? And as we talk about controlling the division, now his stats, I believe it's 30 touchdowns, 9 picks. He's, I think, third in that yards per attempt. And I think in his case, he is actually throwing the ball down the field, and they're getting huge chunk plays. He's found a weapon in, I want to say the kid's name is Jefferson. So there's some things there. They're a dangerous team. Do you think that Matt shows up as Matt, and they sort of like the Rams go kind of do the things that the thing that the Rams have done previously, or is he the thing that pushes them over and literally lets them compete for a Super Bowl this year? Rob, you could take that.
I do. I mean, I do think that. I think the stat that I do think that they can compete for a Super Bowl. I think the stat that Tab gave it's valid to a point. I mean, because how many games did Detroit win against anybody? 9-71. I mean, that, so Calvin Johnson is in that. There's other players that are in that. I mean, you look at Jared Goff. I mean, he's there now. Now his win's going down. And against winning teams, against losing teams, you go to Detroit and you just start to lose. Like that's just part of that franchise has been terrible since Barry left. I mean, feel like So I mean, now
yeah.
I think that Matt Stafford with the Rams is I think this is a better reflection of what a team can do with a quarterback with his arm talent. So yes, that's real. That is a very real stat. I'm just simply saying that Detroit is, man. I don't know if Brady could win in Detroit. I mean, Detroit is rough, So that's a great stat, and I love that stat because who would have thought that a quarterback with his numbers would have that record against winning teams? But then you kind of go, oh, it's Detroit. You go, oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm not gonna give him a full mulligan, but I will say that I think that this version of Matt Stafford, given the play calling, well, what's the coach's name? I forgot his daggone name. With that head coach who went to Marist High School. I know the high school he went to. I don't remember his damn name.
Yeah.
And the weapons that they have. I think that I think this is a better version of what Matt can truly be. And I think and if you ask the Rams who would they rather have, I'm sure that they're happier with the guy that they have. And I'm sure that if you ask Detroit, if they could just switch it back, I think they would rather have Matt back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Detroit felt like they had to go on. I'm not sure how you arrive at a decision like that. Maybe, and I forget what the compensation was. Maybe you get a big package and you rebuild. I just think tonight will give us a lot of information about that Ram team and about that Cardinals team. Listen, the Cardinals have proven to me that they're for real. Rams, not so much. I think they got to go in there today and get a win to get everybody sort of back on their bandwagon. I know we all bet on games. What's the line in that game tonight? And,
that's what I'm looking
give
for.
me a prediction. Give me a prediction with the line on what you would play if you had to play with it. If you had to play that game tonight.
You pulling up
Tab,
the line,
I know you got the line.
I'm pulling
Tab,
it
ready.
up.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up. Tab, I would have thought you had it, man.
Yeah.
I had such a good week last night, man. You know what I mean? I just wanted to enjoy my splendors.
It's over under 51, minus 2.5. Minus 2.5.
Arizona.
Minus 2.5 Arizona.
Load up on the Cardinals.
And you you heard it there. You got an official. That's an official play. Rob, how about you?
If it's okay and it's proper protocol to bet as I'm sitting here talking. I don't know how
You
this
can.
works
It's legal.
for the FCC,
Yeah.
but I'm actually placing a wager as we speak right now. Give me a minute,
Rob, you have a
guys.
prediction?
I'll take the over. I'll take the over. I'll stay away from the -2.5.
Yeah,
My
I think
prediction is
for
points.
me,
My prediction is points.
I'm gonna get right in between both of y'all. That sounds funny. I'm gonna say Arizona money line. I would take Arizona. I would money line that play. Pay a little bit
Is that
extra,
offering value?
and I will take
that money line.
I don't know if it's offering value, but I see the value in just asking Kyler Murray to get a win, as opposed to. And I guess what my experience has been with betting is like I'd rather just take them to get the win and find a way to get it. But I think the assumption is always that if you get it, you get it by 3. But when I bet, I be buying numbers and moving lines, and it helps me. So if I can, and depending on what the value is, if I can get that money line for a little bit extra money, I'd be happy to do it. And I like the over, like you said. Before we get out of here, because I know T's got a heart out, I want to talk about real quick Hugh Jackson, who I know me and Rob and Stat Lines Matter is kind of a big fan of, has taken the job down at Grambling State. And I think sort of following in line with Deion Sanders and Eddie George, who have gone down to HBCUs and with an attempt to restore football pride in a program, and no bigger HBCU program than Grambling. You guys speak a little bit about what that means to you, what you think it means to HBCUs, and what it means to sort of at least creating some talent pool and talent flow from those schools back to the league potentially.
Look, I think this renaissance with back to HBCUs, you saw it first, I think, with Eddie George. I don't know if he was first or Prime was first. Coach Prime was first, but I honestly think this is amazing to bring attention back. And I think one of the things it really does is it's removing, because I think last year there was no one drafted out of an HBCU to the league last year, which was serious. And I know Coach Prime is talking about doing an HBCU only combine, which would be great, because look, these guys, I mean, obviously Deion knows what NFL talent is. He says he has NFL talent on his roster. He knows what he has. I think Hugh Jackson going there is going to prepare guys to play in the league. And I think I would love to see more of this. I want to see guys going back and bringing light to these programs. Guys who've coached or played on the next level. I think it's an amazing opportunity for these kids to get shine. And, you know, it's funny because back in the day, we used to have a lot more players from the HBCU schools used to be in there. Like, you know, that wasn't even a story. You know, you had your Aeneas Williams, you had your Jerry Rices, your Jackie Slaters, your Stephen Nairs, the list goes on. Guys who came from HBCUs and went on to be incredible players. You know what I'm saying? Darryl Green, if I'm not mistaken, was one of them as well. But it's like, honestly, like, we used to see a lot more of that. We don't see that anymore. And I think these guys returning back to HBCUs will go ahead and hopefully create more of a pipeline back to the NFL. It's like, I think it's great for what's going on in the HBCU.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. I think it's just it boils down. The reason why Deion Sanders has had the impact that he's had is because he's been able to recruit. I'm able to get a couple four-star guys to come, and I think that Hugh, if he can recruit, if he can bring in, if he could bring in a decent class, that's when things change. And we've talked about this offline a number of times, me and Mark, about about more African American athletes, you know, given HBCUs a real serious look, to take their talents. I mean, if you're going to the NFL, or if you look like you streamlined to the NFL anyway, you know, a kid like a Bryce Young, or, you know, insert whoever you want to insert, you know, giving those guys, giving one of those schools an opportunity to, you know, to take your talent to that school is obviously going to, like, you look at what Steve McNair did at Alcorn State. I mean, his games were coming on ESPN. I mean, and that all that TV revenue, all the attention that, because the TV contracts is where a lot of those schools make a lot of the money, and they're following basically the talent. The SEC will not have the contract that they have with ESPN, et cetera, and have their own station if they didn't have all those 4- and 5-star athletes going to those schools. If those athletes end up going to, your Shaw University, your Alcorn State, your Grambling, I believe the TV contracts would follow eventually, because all they're following is the best product, the best talent. So if Hugh can recruit, I think that, initially it's, but you can't recruit until you get the job. So he's got the job. Now, hopefully he can follow it up with some recruiting. You also, I don't know if you guys, if this floated under the radar, but Eddie George got hired as the head coach for Tennessee State, which is where Hugh Jackson just came from. Hugh Jackson was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State, now moves on to Grambling, and Eddie George is now the head coach at Tennessee State. So there's that.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. We talked about that in the opening of the segment of those three guys sort of bringing an NFL pedigree into the HBCUs. And listen, I'm realistic enough to know that it's not going to turn, and we're not going to start seeing a mass exodus of 4- and 5-star kids. If Clemson's going to get a guy, or Notre Dame's going to get a guy, or Georgia or Alabama's going to get a guy, they're probably going to get those guys. But I think when it comes down to a 3-star kid going to play at Kansas or going to play at New Mexico State, go play for a guy that can get you to the league and that can make NFL scouts come and see you, because, regardless of what we think of Hugh is a respected, like, lifelong NFL guy. And Hugh says, hey, look, I got a guy who can catch the ball. I got a guy I got a left tackle that can block. He's got good feet. You're going to get that invite to the combine. You're going to get that look. And I think these guys being there gives it a different look to the whole landscape of when it comes to black talent and where that black talent ultimately wants to get its shine. I think Deion is doing an amazing job of making us pay attention to Jackson State in a way. I mean, he got the uniforms looking good. He put everybody's names on the back of the jersey. I know it sounds small, but these a lot of times are the reasons why people go to even the big schools that they go to. It'd be like little things that makes them choose that. Obviously facilities, but it's like, dudes choose for reasons about, like, how many guys go to the league or how they look and what the uniforms look like, and all that. Not everybody's making an academic decision. Some of these guys are making a football decision, and I would trust some of that to Deion Sanders. I would trust some of that to Hugh Jackson and the like. So I'm hopeful that this is a continuing trend, because if nothing else, we know they're going to get better coaching, and because I think that's one of the things that's maybe changed too down there. The coaching hasn't been as good, and that's no knock to some of the guys that have been coaching those kids, but it's been sort of a combination of talent and coaching. You can coach some guys up and get them to the league. But listen, I think this is a good spot for us to break. Before we get out of here, I do want to, and I hate that sometimes we have to do this. We talked about Virgil Abloh in our last show. Since the last time we published, we lost Demaryius Thomas, wide receiver from the Denver Broncos. And it's interesting in that my brother, Demaryius lived here in Atlanta. My brother and him used to get coffee at the same spot out near where they live. He would see Demaryius all the time and was shocked. We lost that brother at 33 years of age. I think there were some health issues. Nobody's really said yet, seizures and things like that. You don't want to speculate, but he will be missed. The Denver Broncos, I think, did an amazing job of honoring him during the game yesterday and getting the win. They actually took care of business as well. So, respect to his family, condolences to his people, and all the people that's out there that love and support him and his former teammates. In the meantime, before we let Tab go, I want to just quickly let y'all know we're honored to have him. This is a guy who is responsible, who's brought such amazing talent into the music industry, the Frank Oceans of the world. He introduced me to Frank early in our career, and that's how he and I got involved with him. Alessia Cara, had a huge won Best New Artist for Grammys a few years ago. most recently Snow Allegro. I mean, there's so many amazing projects. So we were blessed to get not just an amazing executive, but amazing football and sports guy. He's actually a bigger baseball guy, if we're being honest. But he's an amazing sports fan and an amazing executive that I go back, many, many years with. Also, y'all know where to reach us. Come, like, subscribe, hit the notifications on our YouTube channel. We out here doing some amazing things. Tell your friends, let them know to follow us on all our platforms. Stat Lines Matter on Instagram, on TikTok, all of that. We're there. And if you when we go live, you can come here and get comments, and we'll even get your comment up here, and we'll shout you out on here. So thank you guys for joining us, Tab.
Thank
you very
fellas.
much for joining us. It's been an honor. Rob, as usual, this is great. It's great to do it like this. We're gonna still get together, but it's good to have this as an option as well. I'm Mark Stewart. That's my partner, Rob Hunter. That's the Legend Tab. To be so Nkhereanye. It's funny because hit him on his Instagram. He likes to be hit on his Instagram. Personal _ legend 7 on Instagram. Hit him up with your hot music. Listen, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Mark Stewart, Rob Hunter. This is Stat Lines Matter.
Peace.
Bad boy. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face.